And Lepore, one other thing I wanted to hit on is this Leafs power play, which has just been ridiculous. Yeah. They're clicking at 38.5%. And
it's gone down then. It was like in the mid 40s at one point.
It's gone down a click or two.
Yeah.
Still just absolutely outrageous, the rate they're operating at. But I'll be the first to admit that, when we first started this podcast, I came on here and I said, what the hell are the Leafs doing not loading up that top power play unit? We've seen it work in the past, especially last year. They were the number 2 power play under Sheldon Keefe. They loaded the top unit with all their big guys. And this year, with Manny Malhotra running the power play, they are staggering the units. We see Wayne Simmonds as the net front presence on the first unit, Tavares and Nylander on the second unit. And Lepore, it doesn't seem to matter. Both of these power play units are contributing right now, and it's incredible to see. And this is a huge, huge weapon for the Leafs moving forward.
Yeah, it's kind of not fair how good their power play has been. I think it was at some point during the first Canucks game, I think the rate for the season was 44%. And if I remember, Gord Miller said that it was the best ever. After 10 games, or no team had ever been that high after 10 games. And you just watch it, man. Like, they're snapping it around, doing whatever the hell they want with the puck. It's almost as if, like, it's arrogant. Like I'll say it, man. Like especially when Matthews and Marner are out there, it's like you're at pickup hockey and there's 2 guys who are too good and they're just kind of doing whatever they want between themselves, and they'll let other guys have it here and there when they want, just so they can feel good about it. But it's a serious weapon right now, as you mentioned. It's to the point now where I said it last night watching the game. It feels weird when they don't score, because both in the way of, okay, they didn't score on that power play, as well as because they're moving it around so much and getting so many shots, the goalie is flipping on his head. It's odd when we didn't score on that one. And then you look at the metrics after and it's like, oh, we created 3 scoring chances, just 1 didn't go in. But yeah, I mean, like over the course of the season, I mean, we'll probably see it adjust to something that's more of a normality. But as of now, like, let's ride the wave, and who knows, maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is going to turn something in the NHL where you see a power play that can eclipse something in the way of 30%. Go maybe 1 out of 3. I mean, like, the thing with the power play, people talk about a good power play and a bad power play. The basic number, like average power play in the NHL, is usually around 20%. And then if you look, an elite power play is like 25, and then a bad power play is 15. So like the gap between an average power play and a bad power play is only 5%. So that's 1 in 20. Out of every 20 power plays, you score one fewer, and then going the other way, you score 1 more. So like the gaps within power plays aren't that great, but we're seeing something completely different now in the way that it's essentially a coin flip if the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to score on the power play.
Yeah, this is almost like watching like Team Canada at the World Juniors on the power play.
Yeah, against Kazakhstan or something.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. Like when you're clicking at nearly 40%, I mean, that is just that's next level production right there. And when I think about like some of the great power plays that you see around the NHL, whether it's, Washington with Ovechkin, or the Oilers power plays with McDavid and Draisaitl, or even Pittsburgh with Crosby and Malkin.
Yeah, Boston.
When you think about a lot of these teams around the league, what they've done recently, and when I say recently, over the last few years, let's say, is they're keeping all their studs on the power play for almost as long as possible. Like when you think about Alex Ovechkin,
yeah,
he just chills out there. He's out there for the full 2 minutes. They know that it's, he's obviously one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the sport. That's arguably one of the top 3 weapons in the league, to have that shot on the power play. Or even when you look at Edmonton with McDavid and Draisaitl, and I believe in their Saturday night game against the Flames, I saw a stat on Twitter that they stayed on for the final 5 minutes and 45 seconds of the game.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like that is, and it's just insane. So when you think about that and how all these teams have been utilizing their stars and they're keeping them on the power play as long as possible, giving them heavy minutes. And then you look at the Leafs, they don't have to do that. And they're still dominating. Like, it doesn't matter which unit is out there. And I think as they progress through the season and you get into the playoffs, it is such an advantage because if one unit isn't clicking, you throw out that second unit. I mean, to have guys like John Tavares and William Nylander on your second power play unit, I mean, that's just unbelievable. So I love what Manny Malholtra's been doing. And again, I'll admit it. I doubted it at first. I didn't think it made a lot of sense. You know, I said, don't galaxy brain the situation. Just load it up with your top 5 guys and have Morgan Riley on the point and call it a day. But to see the way that this team is scoring on the power play almost at will is unbelievable. And I cannot wait to see how this progresses throughout the season.
Is there anything that jumps out to you, say compared to last year, either in the way of personnel or execution, that is kind of like the launching pad as to why this is happening?
Well, I look back to last year and I almost felt like the Leafs were forcing Tyson Barrie to get comfortable on that top unit.
Okay.
And then another thing, how they weren't really flexible in terms of how they moved Matthews and Marner around. How it just seemed like last season they were on the same spot, you know, basically every time they were on the power play. Whereas this season, you know, you'll see them come out once where Matthews is on his strong side, and then the next power play he's on his weak side, and they just try to give you different looks. And then I've been so impressed with Wayne Simmonds.
Incredible, yeah. That's the one I was gonna say. Yeah,
like just his presence in front of the net, just to create screens, and some of the tips that he's made so far this year.
Yeah, just be a dick.
He's just been super impressive. And obviously we can talk about the physicality and the toughness and the grit that everyone likes to talk about. He's brought all that to the table as well. But to see how comfortable he's fit in with that top power play has been very nice to see. So what do you think has kind of been the big difference this year on the power play?
I was actually going to point to Simmonds. Like, I think that maybe the difference is this year, beyond like progression of the star players, that it seems that we have someone in front of the net all the time who's actually supposed to be there. Like, I'm not the biggest fan. Like when they would put Tavares in front of the net, it's like, no, he's a skilled player. Like put him on the outside. Like, who am I to say who should be wearing a power play? But I like to see the Hyman. Call me old school. I like to see the Hyman. I like to see the Simmonds. And to put your skill on the outside, use Riley. Your boy Lettinen has shown on the power play that he can distribute the puck. He can shoot the puck. It's a lot of weapons and a lot of looks coming from different places. But the thing I was going to point to specifically in the way of a big key difference was Simmonds having that. Because again, you force the other team to think about it too, right? Because they think, okay, we got to put so-and-so out there to deal with Simmonds, and maybe the Leafs don't put Simmonds out there, and then that takes away from your second penalty kill unit. And then, like you said, now you're dealing with Tavares and Nylander, with guys who don't want dealing with Tavares and Nylander. So it's layered, but yeah, Simmonds was going to be the one that I circled.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic. He's almost kind of giving me JVR vibes.
You know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned, because I said someone the other day, I'm like, fuck, man, like JVR, like that JVR, I always really appreciated him because he was kind of a different type of player than what we had. And it kind of popped in my head the other day, like, yeah, JVR would be really nice, like on this team. And he's doing really well in Philadelphia this year. But I guess we filled that void with Simmonds. But earlier on, I was like, yeah, man, we could really use JVR.
Oh yeah, big time. And Simmonds has exceeded all expectations so far. And again, we're going to see if he can keep this up as the season goes along. But so far, it has been a fantastic signing for the Leafs.